Hello YouTube, today we're going to be looking at all the preseason runes and items that have been added and my opinions on what NEEKO will be like next season, primarily as a support, so hopefully you enjoy. We'll start off with the two new runes. We'll be going over First Strike and Glacial and then into the new items. So to start off, First Strike has now been enabled on the PBE, and basically how this rune works is your attacks and abilities, if you hit them before they hit you within 0.25 seconds of combat, you get 5 gold and you get 10% increased damage for 3 seconds. That extra damage is converted into gold. So plain and simply put, you can see I've made 0 gold, and if I hit the enemy with an auto and then EQ, right, I will make 50 gold for that combo. Now, I don't think that will be the primary combo because it's very unlikely. You usually don't in lane go out, hit an auto, and then hit your combo. You usually hit your root into an auto Q, or you hit your auto into a Q with no root, right? So I'll show you guys what the damage kind of looks like. This is on a level 7 no item spike, so obviously it'll be a bit less earlier in the game. But what the primary combo would usually be like would be you would stealth out, and or one sec, let's see what it was 46 gold. Okay, so you would stealth out and you'd hit an EQ auto, right? And that would net you 116 gold, or 91 gold from 46. So about, what is that? It's like about 40 gold. You would get for your combo if you were doing that, which is not bad at all. 40 extra gold on top of your spelthies, which you're getting 20 gold. You're getting 60 gold, which is almost a control ward. This will definitely help you curve early items. I really think this will be really good with Rocketbelt, and I'll show you another reason it'll be good with Rocketbelt. But first, I want to show you the other combo. The other combo is sometimes you don't throw the root. You simply go out and you just auto Q. So we're at 91 gold, and you go for an auto Q, right? This is the other main combo you'd be doing in lane, and it would go from 91. It usually refreshes. Okay, it goes from 91 to 135, which is about, actually, again, 40 gold. So, yeah, you'll be making about 40 gold per combo. And I'll show you what I think about this with Rocketbelt. So, the cool thing about Rocketbelt is you can use it to activate First Strike before you do your combo. So, say you have a group up of 3 people, right? And I have 135 gold made. So, I'm going in for my ulti, right? And I flash Rocketbelt. The Rocketbelt procs it. I can hit everyone, right? And we can see that from this combo, we went from 135 gold to 353 gold. Sorry, I keep refreshing because sometimes it changes, right? So right there, I just made about 200 gold from my combo. So I really think that First Strike will be very prevalent with Rocketbelt for a couple reasons. Rocketbelt is an expensive mythic. It's 3,200 gold. This gives you extra early game gold, which will let you curve into Rocketbelt earlier and make you not fall behind. And Rocketbelt is just a good way to proc your thing, right? You can just Rocketbelt EQ, and your EQ fully got procced with the extra damage, and you're making extra gold really quickly in the game. So that's my thoughts about First Strike. This rune will definitely define the meta and will be very good on NEEKO. Just a note, the damage is less than Electrocute, so if you really want like maximum lane damage and lane presence, Electrocute will still be better, but I have a feeling First Strike will just be the best overall. And so before we go into all the items now, because I went over First Strike, I just want to quickly talk about Glacial, although I'm not going to relog in. Glacial makes it when you hit a root, it puts Glacial pass on the ground, and enemies in the Glacial do 15% less damage. This does sound great on NEEKO at first, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will like to run it, but for the top level competitiveness, I don't think it'll be viable. NEEKO is a lane bully. She's not a utility champion for the most part, so you're taking Glacial, and it's not giving you extra damage. It's not giving you extra snowball. Like, even when I take Predator, I'm not getting kills right away in lane. But once I get my boots, I can use that to run the enemy down and get kills with my ulti. It won't help you get kills. It's just to help the enemy not kill your ADC. So the only situation I could see Glacial is right now, sometimes I'll run Guardian if my ADC is a scaling ADC and I'm versus a kill lane. So if I have like an Aphelios, Jinx, Kog'Maw, and I'm versus a Lucian Leona, right, who's going to kill us, maybe I'll take Guardian. In those card cases, maybe we'll try Glacial now because I can root and then their ADC will do 15% less damage to my ADC. We'll see, but I think First Strike is looking like the go-to new rune that will be probably running a lot of our games now. And this is probably the rune set I'll be running with it too. First Strike, Hex Flash, Biscuits, Cosmic Insight, Zombie Ward, Relentless. One thing to note, because I'm losing Taste the Blood, I might stop taking level 1 W as much, because the whole thing about level 1 W is the fact that I can auto trade the enemy and I'm healing myself with that auto trade when they auto me back. Losing that might make me start to go for Q level 1 more often, to be honest, because also First Strike doesn't really have synergy. If you go for a 1 auto attack, you don't really get much for it. But if I take Q level 1, for instance, I have Biscuit so I don't run and I could end up in lane going for an auto Q combo and make some extra gold level 1, so we'll see how it plays out. But now let's talk about the items. So in my opinion, with the mythics, it's very exciting time because there's a lot of options, which is also scary because now it's hard to figure out what's the best. So to start off, Everfrost, you can see here, is now 2,800 gold, which is very big. 2,800 gold is huge because regular support mythics are 2,500 gold. So for only 300 gold more, you can get Everfrost now. This is actually insane, and right now, people who watch my stream and watch my content know that if I'm going AP NEEKO, the Rocketbelt build, but I don't get ahead, I'll usually opt into Shurelya's because it's a cheap mythic. I don't think this will be the case anymore. I don't see myself very often getting Shurelya's over Everfrost. Everfrost is looking really good. It gives 10 less AP than on live, and its mythic passive gives 5 less AP, but for the reduced cost and for the affordability, this item is looking insane. So we have Everfrost as an option, we have Rocketbelt as an option. Shurelya's will still be an option, although not run as much. Even Shroud is looking like an insane option too, and Locket will still be an option sometimes if the enemy team has a bunch of AoE damage and I'm going by Predator build. It'll still be an option if I want the AoE resistance shielding versus Karthus, Zyra, Fiddlesticks, right? So, yeah, so I'm going to go into extreme detail now on each of these mythics and what scenarios I'd run them. So, Everfrost, like I said, might be my bread and butter. I might be running this most games. Super useful item. You can root, right, and chain it with your root and with your ulti, right? So, ulti, Everfrost, root, and you can get them on a huge long CC chain. The most interesting thing to note is you know that I like to max my root really early in my games, so let's just level myself up so I can get max points. The interesting thing is that your root lasts so long with rank 1 root that you can go for an E-flash, and if it connects, you can ulti Everfrost, right, and keep them CC'd. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to have less engaged than when I have Rocketbelt, because usually with Rocketbelt, you're going for ulti and then you flash Rocketbelt. You don't really have less of that because you can more go for your root flashes. And if it connects, you can go for Everfrost ulti and you can still get those long range engages very efficiently. So yeah, Everfrost is looking really good, and I could see myself running this in most cases as it gives me offensive power and defensive power. After that, we have Rocketbelt. Rocketbelt, again, really great item, especially with first strike rune. I could see myself curving into this item. It's the exact same as it is. You use it with your ulti and you can Rocketbelt to get some extra distance. And it's really good for starting your first strike going. A really interesting thing to note about Rocketbelt is the build has actually changed. So you can see it used to be that the Hextech alternator built from 2 amp tomes, and this amp tome used to be a ruby crystal, and they rearranged it. I actually really like this a lot. So there's a problem sometimes that arises where I have my refill, my potions, right? And I get to this scenario in my games where I only have 2 open slots and I either have to not get a control word, right? I get this, and before it was like I would have to then choose between a ruby crystal and a blasting wand. And this was a hard choice for me because 150 HP is really valuable, especially early in the game. That 150 HP is a lot. But 40 AP was also a lot. And then it was like trying to pick this slot between 2 things. And if I went for the ruby crystal, the combined cost was super expensive. So I really like this change because now I can just go for the blasting and just be missing out on only 20 AP instead, which I would rather lose 20 AP for 150 HP personally. I think this is a great change, and the combined cost is now a lot more affordable, so I don't have to sell my refill. I can hold a control ward, and I'm only losing 20 AP, and the combined cost is a lot lower. So I actually really like this. To note, though, the alternator used to give 40 AP, and it only gives 25 now, but it gives 150 HP. For people who are scared about this, let me just explain something. It's only losing 15 AP. 15 AP, 20 AP is worth 435 gold. So we'll say 15 AP. I could do the math, but we'll say it's around 300 gold, right? So we lost 300 gold worth of stats, but we gained 150, which is 400 gold worth of stats. So theoretically, this item is actually like 100 gold more gold efficient. So obviously it's a bit worse for snowballing early, but overall, I actually like this change as it gives a better build path. It's a more gold efficient item. You get early HP, which can be very valuable, better combined cost. Rocketbelt is looking buffed, in my opinion, for next season, with First Strike giving you an early curve of gold, and Rocketbelt having, in my opinion, a better build path. Things looking good. So next, we have our really cheap support mythics. So again, Shurelya's I might not be running as much. Quick note, if you didn't know, it gives an extra 25% move speed if you empower an ally. So you actually W and Shurelya's so that you empower your clone, and that gives you extra move speed. I can show you real quickly. I have 390. You can't really see it, but I have 390 move speed. And if I Shurelya's W, it goes up to 562. But if I W and then Shurelya's, it goes up to 610. So if you ever run Shurelya's on NEEKO, you want to pop W then Shurelya's to get extra move speed. But anyways, that's beside the point. Again, I'd probably almost always run Everfrost instead of this. The only time I would ever consider running this is if my team just has a bunch of champs you want to run at the enemy and I can help them all engage. So, or I need to personally engage and I want some more tools to do that. Everfrost might not give me as much as a gauge as I would hope unless I have flash up. So I could run this with like an Olaf or something on my team, but in general, I think Shurelya's is an item I probably won't really build anymore next season. And now for the last two. So before I go into Even Shroud, we'll talk about Locket real quickly again. Locket, I don't think will be as good as Even Shroud. But again, if the enemy team has a bunch of AoE damage or assassins are going to kill your ADC, giving resist to your ADC and stuff, and being able to give them a shield is pretty useful. So I might run this still sometimes, but for the most part, I'm going to be running Even Shroud. So Even Shroud is like a new Abyssal Mask. So Abyssal Mask got changed. It no longer, if I can show you here, it no longer gives you the damage amp. They completely changed it. Even Shroud is basically Abyssal Mask. In my opinion, they should have just made this Abyssal Mask and like this icon and made it Abyssal Mask for 2,500 gold, and they should have just made this item Even Shroud. But anyways, Riot likes to just confuse us. So for all intents and purposes, Even Shroud is the old Abyssal Mask. So when you CC someone, it gives you 12% increased damage. So this is really interesting. So basically, it applies on the CC too. So I can show you right here. I hit my root, 230 damage, right? Or 253 damage, because it got the first strike, which is actually interesting. I didn't know first strike applied, so that's cool. So I do 230. Okay, and first strike applies to the first spell you hit. This actually is a very big game changer. Wow. Okay, that changes a lot about that. Okay, because I was thinking before you'd have to like, remember I was saying like, oh, usually you wouldn't get the full combo because you're usually not gonna, I thought you'd have to auto then EQ to get the full damage. And I was like, but usually you'd go in and EQ auto. Well, actually, it doesn't matter what order you do the combo. You get the full damage amp either way and the full gold value. So that is very interesting to know. But anyways, to the point, Root does 53 damage, right? And if I get Even Shroud and make sure I get first strike again, the damage applies to the ability that hits it. So this is basically increasing my Root, even the first strike, 284. So it's increasing my damage, and it did an extra 30 damage. So it's increasing the damage straight off the bat as we go. So as I can show you here, it's really good because it means that if you EQ, your Q is going to be doing more damage. Everything, as long as you start with an ulti or an E, will be increased damage, but it's not just for yourself. It increases your team's damage, plus it makes you tanky. It's really insane. So something I just want to really quickly highlight here on how insane this item is I'm going to get my thing. So watch. If I EQ auto, okay, I do 1,200 damage. So let's compare this to Shurelya's, which gives AP. So now we're converting. We're going for an AP item. So it did 1,200, and I can go for this. And it does 1,166. So even Shroud, this is why I'm saying Shurelya's might not be an option I really go for. Even Shroud out damages Shurelya's. And the reason this is insane is because it gives you resist on top of it. So you're getting tanky and doing more damage than Shurelya's. And remember that this damage that already out-damaged, right? So this out-damages Shurelya's already, but that's not it. Because if your allies are hitting it too, your allies are going to be doing increased damage too. So this is, you're doing more damage, and if your ADC's hitting it, it'll be even more on top of that. So this item, in my opinion, I'm going to be really struggling this season because I don't know, man. Do I build Even Shroud? I'm going to be losing engage potential, but I'm going to get increased damage and be tanky. Do I get freaking Everfrost? It's looking really good. Or do I get Rocketbelt? It's also looking insane. There's a lot of options, and I'm spoiled for options, and I don't like being spoiled for options. I like having, you know, I go this item because it's OP and we're good to go. It's going to be a hard time figuring things out, but Even Shroud's looking insane. Just for a real quick so you can see how insane the resists are on it, I'm going from 28% and 50 and 28% resist, and I get this, and I go to 56, so just a bit more armor, but I go from 28 to 41. I almost double how tanky I am versus AP sources. So if the enemy team has AP Assassins, Silas, LeBlanc, things like that, this item will become very prevalent. And as the game goes on, its mythic bonuses, you get 5 MR and armor. So as you get more items in your build, you're getting more resist off of it, and you're getting tankier and tankier. In my opinion, this could end up making you tankier than Locket would, because Locket's mythic passive doesn't make yourself tankier, so and they give the same resist, so the difference is this big shield or resist. Well, eventually Locket will be giving you around a 300 shield, and this will be giving you an extra 10 resist each. That's pretty similar value. A 300 shield compared to an extra 10 resist in a prolonged fight could end up the resist giving you about an extra 200 effective health. So yeah, Even Shroud looking insane. I don't want this video to go on too long. I'm just very excited about all these changes. So that goes it for the mythic items. I'm just going to quickly talk about a couple more new items. Not going to go over all items, but like I said, Abyssal Mask was changed. So how Abyssal Mask works now is it's a good a good item if the enemy team has a lot of AP, but it's an item you want to build if your team has a lot of AP. So the cool thing is you can see this aura of how big it is actually the same size as NEEKO's ult. So what this aura does is if the enemies within this aura, they lose 12 magic resist. And for each nearby enemy, you gain magic resist. So if the enemy team has a bunch of AP, you can build this, but it's good if your team has AP. Because as I walk into here, I can be applying, you see this icon, all these people are getting reduced magic resist. So if I have like a Fiddlesticks or whatever, a LeBlanc on my team, and I go in and like CC combo someone, my teammate will be doing more damage to them, and with even Shroud, my team will be doing more damage to them. So you get this like the extra stack on top of each other. So a cool thing is that the ulti is actually the exact same range of it. So you can see here, this icon, my ulti hits. And if I keep walking backwards, the icon, my ulti hits. Walk backwards, the icon's no longer there, my ulti doesn't hit, right? The icon's there, my ulti hits. Wait, okay, maybe it's a bit smaller, but almost the exact same size. So pretty much for the most case, if you go in and you hit your ulti, right? And then you EQ, you're getting the bonus damage from this. And you can see it's done so far 35 damage. So Abyssal Mask, although I think it's a niche item, for this item to be good, you have to have a very AP heavy game. Both your team and the enemy team have to have a bunch of AP. But if both those conditions are true, I think the new Abyssal Mask will be fine. And the last new item I want to go over is this new item called... I'm going to go over that actually and the changes to Horizon Focus because I think this is actually very, very prevalent too. Shadowflame, not sure how I feel about this item. So the idea of this item is it's supposed to be an anti-shield item, but it's not the same. So the item that's in the game, whatever it's called, I forget what it's called. Embarrassing. What is that item called? Serpent's Fang. So Serpent Fang reduces shields by half. This just gives you extra pen versus shields. But the reason I think this item's weird is because if they have 1,000 or less health, you're getting the max pen value anyways, right? And so most squishies are going to have about usually 1,500 HP. You hit them a bit, you get the full value. So most of the time versus squishy values, this item won't be an anti-shield item. It'll just be a normal pen item. It'll only really be effective against tanks who get a shield. But if a tank gets a shield, you getting an extra 10 pen versus a tank doesn't do much. So I like that it has HP, AP, and pen. These are all stats NEEKO loves. I'm not convinced that this is an anti-shield item. I think it's just a penetration item for you to burst squishy targets. I don't think it really has much to do with shielding at all, but it gives AP, HP, and pen. So this is a great item for NEEKO. NEEKO loves all those stats. She really wants HP. She has great AP ratios, and she has high base damage, making penetration good. Great item for her, especially in the mid lane, not so much on support. This is a great item. And the last item I quickly want to go over before we end this video is the Horizon Focus. Like, again, this was already a great item for NEEKO. They reduced the AP on it by a bit, but the thing is they gave it ability haste and they gave it HP. Again, NEEKO really likes HP. So the fact that this item, it doesn't build from Alternator either anymore. Interesting. So the fact that this item gives HP now is really good for NEEKO. NEEKO loves HP. So, yeah, you know, I mean, not much to say about it, just saying that when items gain HP values on them, this is a net positive for NEEKO, so really like that. I don't think there's that many more changes to any of these items. If I just quickly hover over, there was a slight change to Demonic Embrace, where it gives you AP for bonus HP. This isn't really a great item, even though NEEKO likes AP, HP. I never built this item on NEEKO, and I doubt I will start to build it, but, you know, it's an option if you go with all this HP stack. I mean, we could test right now quickly how much it would do. Say I went for even Shroud into Abyssal Mask into Demonic Embrace. How much AP is it actually giving? It's giving an extra 23 AP. So it's giving 83 AP with the burn. I mean, for 3,000 gold, 83 AP isn't really that great, right? You can look at other 3,000 gold items that give way more AP. So I mean, I doubt, like, if you wanted damage, you would probably just build... Like, if you're going to build this item, you'd be HP stacking. At which point, I already have enough HP. Getting this doesn't really help that much in terms of how tanky I am. And I'll probably, versus a tank target, rather than having this 1.2% burn, I'd probably just get more damage from a Void Staff at this point. So, yeah, not sure if that item's going to be any good. But anyways, if I missed any items you guys wanted me to talk about or look at, let me know. But yeah, for a quick recap, First Strike looking amazing. Glacial looking probably not great. New items are great. Everfrost and even Shroud are looking like the most 2 OP items, with Rocketbelt being a great item if you snowball and having good synergy with First Strike. Probably Locket will be very niche if the enemy team has AoE damage and magic, and I can give a shield to my team, and I probably won't really build Shurelya's anymore considering how bad I think it is now, unless your team really needs that extra engage. And yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. It's kind of weird. I watch YouTube videos. They always say like, comment, and I never like or comment or anything, but it really does help. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time.